We did something last week about prisons. Derby Prison had this inspection which was talking about the problems they've got with rehabilitating sex offenders. I'd be just quite interested to get your thoughts on that kind of side of the justice system. What happens to these guys once they get banged up, and what the hopes are for them being kind of rehabilitated.
Okay, so firstly, there is no rehabilitation. Absolutely no rehabilitation. They do it by choice. There's no, you can't rewire somebody's brain into not sexually assaulting a child. If they've got it inside them, they'll do it, and they'll do it again and again and again. That's why the reconviction rate for sex offenders is so high. You know, you'll see it time and time again. Obviously, through my website, I see it on a daily basis where people are reconvicted.
I remember, sir.
And the reconviction rate is massive. It's got to be up near 60%.
Okay.
It's the highest reconviction rate of any offences.
We'll not spoil it. You know, let's get it when this thing's rolling.
Can you all hear what's going on at the moment?
There's 1,000 people watching the moment.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Can you let me know? Can you let me know if you can hear all right?
Yep.
Right, you're ignoring me completely, mate. Just talk to
Right, we're just going live on BBC right now.
Well, pre-recorded.
Or pre-recorded.
Start recording.
Just setting up cameras at the moment, just give them a couple of minutes.
Okay,
Don't point the camera, camera shy.
Okay, so if you start by telling us who you are, please.
So I'm Chris Whitwer. I'm part of the UK database, which is an online child protection team.
And can you spell your surname for us, Chris?
Whitwer, W-I-T-T-W-E-R.
Okay, what's happened in court today?
We're here in Exeter Crown Court today for the sentencing of Tony Stevens, who we caught grooming young children. However, he wasn't sentenced today. The judge ordered a pre-sentence report, and it's been adjourned to January 19th.
What does that mean?
Basically, they need to, the probation need to interview him and find out about his psychological needs, and if the likely of re-offending, and they basically put a report together on him to determine that will actually help the judge in sentencing him.
The judge said that he shouldn't take this as any indication of the likely length of the sentence that might follow. What are you expecting, sentencing-wise?
I'm expecting a 1 year, 2 year sentence, but with the sentencing guidelines and the way courts actually sentence offenders, sex offenders these days, he might get a suspended sentence, which would be poor, and we'd be, you know, deeply upset about that, because this is about protecting the children of the future. And until courts and judges start giving stiffer sentences, then they're letting children down every day.
What's your feeling about what happened in court today? How surprising was this?
No, it's not surprising. Obviously, pre-sentence reports have to be made on each offender before they are sentenced, so they can determine the danger and the threat that they pose. And
the police publicly say they're not very happy about groups like yours. They say that they view you as vigilantes who threaten to undermine their cases in court. What's your response to that?
No, I don't think that's right. The police actually support and advise all of our groups. There's an estimated 52 groups like ours now in this country that are going out and effectively catching these offenders. The police are undermanned, understaffed, and they appreciate what we do. We basically give them all the evidence, and all they've really got to do is charge them.
You were involved in the sting for the Tony Stevens case. Watching that, some people I've spoken to say, it looks like quite an aggressive job, quite a kind of intimidating sting. Some of these things, of course, do turn pretty ugly. Have the police got a bit of a point when they say that this is kind of rough justice, which isn't really the right way of doing things?
No, rough justice isn't the word, definitely. We've got security members in our team. We also use aftercare for the families of the offenders that we actually get. So, you know, we look after them and make sure they're being treated all right. Because obviously, it's not just the offender when they get convicted, and it's not just them that suffers, it's their families as well. And we do care about their families because they're the innocent in all of this. But on the relation to the dangerousness and the danger that we pose, there is no danger. We're there purely to save the person from getting injured, and that's our duty of care.
Okay. You mentioned there like the aftercare side of things. I mean, what
Friends of the offenders will get in touch with us and explain to us, you know, about how they're coping and how they've suffered from it, and we just give them advice and support.
And what happens to a sex offender once they get sent down, once they are sentenced?
They get put on their own wing, just as sex offenders on the same wing. They get treated well, they get looked after. Well, you know, and in real victim cases, the victims are left at court, whereas the sex offenders are released from prison and they're looked after better than the victims are. I know cases where offenders have been convicted of rape against a child and they've been released before that child's had received counselling. This isn't right. This needs to be addressed and the government need to look at it further.
Okay, and we were hearing last week about concerns with rehabilitation of sex offenders at Dartmoor Prison in particular. And there is this concern that sex offenders are not being offered the courses that they would like to go on to try to change their ways and try to rejoin mainstream society.
There is no rehabilitation for sex offenders, especially paedophiles. Absolutely not. The courses they give in prison are just absolutely ridiculous. They don't do anything to deter the offender from repeating his behaviour.
So where does that leave us?
That leaves us with, we need stricter sentencing guidelines. We need more paedophiles jailed to act as a deterrent to others. This is why we do this. We hope that every video we put out and every sting we show, that there's paedophiles out there watching our videos and it's going to deter them from speaking to children online. Every paedophile that's speaking to any of our decoys, that means he's not speaking to a real child, and that's why we do this.
How long do you think they need to be locked up for?
Indecent images, between 1 and 3 years, depending on how many and the severity. A sexual assault on a child, 3 to 5 years. Grooming, 3 to 5 years. And the rape of a child, at least 10 or 12 years. It has to be.
But if you're saying these people will not change, then what does that mean? If someone's going to be let out after that amount of time, those amounts of time you specified, what does that mean for society?
Stricter monitoring. MAPA have to get their asses in gear, basically, and start monitoring these sex offenders when they're released from prison.
MAPA?
Yeah, MAPA is a public protection unit who are part of the police, and they act as like a probation service when sex offenders are released from prison. They're supposed to monitor them. Now, I know many sex offenders, especially child rapists, that have been released from prison, and they only have to turn up for maybe 2 interviews every month to one of the public protection unit members, and that's it. There's no tags. Sex offenders should be put on tags as soon as they're released from prison, so we know where they are and what they're doing. They shouldn't be allowed near playgrounds. You know, there must be a way we can get these tagging systems to work, that if they go anywhere near a playground, the alarm goes off, or they need to be monitored more. Effectively, that's what they need to be done. Anybody who's convicted of a sex offence against a child, whether it's online grooming or a physical sexual assault, must have a complete internet ban instantly.
Returning to the Tony Stevens case that we've seen in court today, how seriously have the police taken your evidence?
The police have been fantastic in Devon and Cornwall. We've worked with 3 different police forces now, and the Devon and Cornwall police have been excellent. They've advised us, supported us, and they've actually praised us for the professionalism of our chat logs and the way we act on our stings.
How does that compare to the way you've been dealt with by other forces?
All of our forces have been absolutely brilliant. We do know teams from other parts of the country have been treated differently, but everything that we've done so far has been praised.
How much of this stuff are the police doing themselves?
Very little. We've caught 9 in 6 weeks. Devon and Cornwall police have caught 3 in 2 years.
What do you make of that?
Well, before I spoke to police, I was disgusted. You know, I thought they were being lazy, or they wasn't doing their jobs properly. But after speaking to police and being involved in continuous communication with the police over the last 9 weeks now, They are undermanned, they are understaffed, and they simply haven't got the resources to be able to do what we're doing. And we're actually out there doing it for them now. And we are getting, and as you can see, we are getting them charged, we are getting them sentenced.
And how much more of this are we going to see?
This is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got 400 decoys now in the UK, 52 hunting teams, and we estimate there's at least a good, probably 100,000 online today speaking to children sexually.
Okay, thanks Chris. Cheers. Thanks very much. Right, sorry. That lasted quite a while, didn't it? Yeah, but it's all interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we'll see, as I say, whether we make something of that. It all depends on how the rest of the news agenda shapes up today.
If not, see you on January 19th.
Yeah, if not, then
Cool.
either myself or someone else hopefully see you on the 19th.
Yeah, we got